a summer of secrets, love, betrayal, and passion. Hey everyone, I'm here to take you on a journey you'll never forget. This is not just any story. This is a tale of forbidden secrets, electrifying connection, and a summer that turned a young girl's entire world on its head. Ready for some heart-racing romance and the thrill of romantic escapism? Grab a glass of something sweet, tuck yourself in, and let your imagination run wild with me. It all began under the heavy weight of a sweltering Miami summer where the air shimmered with heat, and every breath felt like a promise of something yet to come. I'm Lisa Carter, a 19-year-old dreamer with a passion for art. With a sketchbook in hand and bigger-than-life aspirations, I often shut the door on my reality, a small, stifling existence with my seemingly perfect but deeply flawed family. My father, Richard, was the epitome of control, the kind of man who believed image was everything. My mother, Carla, a delicate beauty with worry etched into every sigh, played the role of dutiful wife. Behind our picture-perfect exterior stretched countless unspoken truths, tensions simmering just below boiling. One humid afternoon in the haven of my room, I sketched under the whirring ceiling fan. Art had always been my escape, my sanctuary. That day, my mother's sharp voice sliced through my peace. "Lisa, come help me with the table. Your dad brought someone over." Annoyed but used to these interruptions, I placed my pencil down and trudged downstairs. Let me tell you, I wasn't prepared for what I saw. As I entered the dining room, muted laughter spilled from the living room. That voice, low, rich, addictive, wasn't my father's. It drew me toward the doorway like an invisible string, and there he was. Jake. Jake had a presence that demanded attention. Tall, broad-shouldered, and effortlessly confident, he seemed like he'd stepped right out of my wildest daydream. His jet-black hair gleamed under the dim light, and his emerald-green eyes seemed to glow. A dimple appeared as he smiled, the kind of smile that could make glaciers melt. Our eyes met. My pulse quickened. He held my gaze longer than he should, as though daring me to look away first. I didn't, not until the overwhelming heat of it tinged my cheeks. Quickly retreating to the kitchen, I tried to refocus, but my mom's clipped voice snapped me out of my daze. "That's Jake, your dad's golden boy." The dinner was predictably stiff. My dad's overbearing conversations dominated while Jake nodded with polite brilliance. My mom occupied her usual space of quiet detachment, sipping wine, her smile tight. But me, I couldn't stop stealing glances at Jake, but the thrill was that he was glancing back. After dinner, my father, oblivious as ever, suggested that I show Jake my sketches. The thought sent a wild jolt through me. My art was deeply personal. Pieces of myself I usually kept hidden from others. But the idea of being alone with him, even for a moment, was electrifying. "Sure, Dad," I said, keeping my voice steady even though my stomach flipped. Upstairs, surrounded by my scattered sketches, Jake picked one up with the gentleness of someone handling glass. "Wow," he murmured as his emerald eyes roamed over the soft charcoal lines. "You're talented, Lisa. Really talented." His presence was intoxicating. Standing so close I could smell the woodsy spiced cologne clinging faintly to his skin. He turned to me, holding up one of my portraits. "Is this you?" he asked, his voice low. I shook my head. "No, just someone I imagined." "She's beautiful," he replied, his voice barely above a whisper, his eyes burning into mine. "Like you." My chest tightened. I was pinned by everything about him, his voice, his boldness, the undeniable vulnerability tucked away behind his confident gaze. And then he closed the space between us. His hand rested on the wall beside my head, his voice dipping into a rich murmur. What are your thoughts on this incredible meeting? Share your ideas, impressions, or even questions in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. Did you know how incredible you are, Lisa? My heart raced faster than I thought was humanly possible. But before the unspoken tension could give way to more, my mom's voice shattered the spell. "Lisa, dessert plates!" Jake pulled back, the intensity cooling on the surface but still lingering in the air between us. "Thanks for showing me your art," he said casually, as though we hadn't just crossed into uncharted, forbidden territory. The next day, Jake casually invited me to coffee, claiming he wanted to discuss my art. My dad was thrilled, thinking Jake was nurturing some sort of professional mentorship with me. What neither of my parents suspected was the magnetic pull drawing Jake and me closer, irreversibly so. Under the shade of a massive oak tree in a quiet park, Jake leaned in and kissed me for the first time. There was nothing tentative about it. It wasn't gentle, wasn't merely curious. It was loaded with unrestrained fire, like he'd been holding back for too long. His hand brushed the curve of my cheek, then shifted lower, sending shivers down my spine. Every kiss from him felt like it set my world ablaze. "You're incredible, Lisa," he whispered against my lips. "I can't stay away from you." I wanted to lose myself in that moment, to fall completely into him without hesitation. With Jake, I felt seen, like I wasn't just a girl with big dreams, but someone who mattered entirely. Yet, no matter how exhilarating he made me feel, there was always that pinprick of guilt shadowing our every kiss, our every stolen glance. Over the next few weeks, Jake became my escape. A rush, a thrill, a secret. We found moments together in hidden corners of the city, away from prying eyes. He was daring, confident, yet surprisingly tender. There were evenings drenched in golden sunsets where he'd share stories about Los Angeles and his own dreams of freedom. We laughed like the rest of the world didn't exist, our fingers laced together, his touch a constant reminder of how alive he made me feel. But with every moment we shared, the lines between right and wrong grew fuzzier. My family's perfectly staged world began to feel more fragile by the second. The air at home was thick with tension, some of it new, some of it long-standing, but all of it whispering the warning of a storm on the horizon. And Jake? Jake was like the eye of that storm, peaceful at the center, but powerful enough to tear my life apart. I didn't know it then, but secrets, mine, Jake's, and my family's, were bubbling to the surface, waiting to explode. Each lie we disguised as truth put cracks in the facade that held my family together, and I wasn't sure how much longer we had before it had all split wide open. But in Jake's arms, none of that mattered. I wanted more than anything to stay wrapped in the fantasy, even if I knew it couldn't last forever. Each kiss, each whispered moment brought me closer to a truth I wasn't ready to face. Jake was as dangerous as he was addictive, a fire consuming everything in its path. If you've stayed with me this long, you've felt the exhilarating rush of Lisa and Jake's forbidden love, the fire, the passion, the heartbreak they can't escape. But their story is just beginning. What happens when passion meets betrayal? When secrets refuse to stay buried? The fallout is coming, and you don't want to miss it. Stay tuned for the next chapter of this scandalous saga right here on Silent Confessions. Like, comment, and subscribe, my loves. Your support fuels these stories of love, heartbreak, and everything in between. Until next time, keep daring to dream, keep chasing what sets your soul on fire, and stay tuned for more.